Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this evening and giving up your time. My name is Karen Mazzola. I am your Florida PTA Vice President for Educational Development. And within the Education Commission is the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Justice Committee. And tonight we have a presentation for them. So we just want to say thank you for coming. And let me introduce you to our president who will bring greetings, Carolyn Nelson Goder. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And thank you to the committee for putting together tonight's presentation. If you were with us earlier, and if you know anything about me, you know that diversity, equity, inclusion, and the justice portion are all in my wheelhouse and some work that I have been doing for many, many years. I appreciate the committee taking the time to bring forward the information that they're going to share with you, and appreciate you being here so that you can listen in and learn. I'd like to take just a moment to introduce the members of the Executive Committee, our Board of Directors, and any staff members that may have joined us. As is my norm, I will introduce people in the order that I see them on my screen. You've already met Karen Mazzola, who is our Vice President of Educational Development. We also have Maxine Lures, President-elect.
Thank you so much, Carolyn, Madam President. Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight, and have a great night.
Thank you. I don't see any other Executive Committee members right now. I'd like to introduce the members of the Board of Directors who are with us. Felita Tutt, our Education Chair.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, Felita. Looking through our list, and it just shifted, of course, as is the norm with Zoom. Let me make sure I got everybody. Oh, we have our Hillsborough County Council President, Kimberly. Please say hi.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you. I think that is it for our EC and Board of Directors for this evening. I'm going to pass it over to my heartbeat, Dr. Nicholas Nelson Goder.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our presentation honoring the past, celebrating the present. I'm glad to see so many of you on. Hopefully it is a very lively discussion. Hopefully it also inspires some new and fresh ideas for yourself, for your PTAs, and potentially for your families. Presenting along with me is the Diversity Committee member, Diana Delgado. So there she is. And I'm going to start the presentation and share the screen so that we can get some insight into these new ideas. Share screen. Right, it looks like I have to be named a presenter. So if you could, if someone could adjust some of the settings, that would be helpful. There we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the central objectives of the workshop would be to explore connecting education to local history and to communities so that we can get a insight into some of the strategies to do this, as well as understanding using the neighborhoods as educational resources. So it is understanding the importance of place, and also discovering strategies for rotating PTA meetings to increase engagement, to increase the number of people who would be part of PTA, and for increasing thought. So the central question is why community matters. We would see that education overall is enriched by connecting to the world around us, as opposed to just theory and just ideas, which are important on their own. We want to try to create a holistic, or think of psychology or social science, a gestalt way of creating education. So that means including everything. So having a global perspective, not just in terms of different countries, but in terms of different elements of knowledge. So the community would provide authentic experiential learning where you have hands-on processes to learn things and to learn about people. And with that, we would see that with community being part of education, that it would help students to understand diverse narratives that build our communities and help to build empathy, but also those of us who are adults as well. So parents, teachers, and others who are involved in the community and education. So with that is the importance of place. And we would say that there's actually significant power in the idea of place, because different places, so different physical places within our communities. So you can think of buildings, you can think of specific landmarks within your communities, restaurants, beaches. They hold meaning. They hold symbolic meaning. They have histories behind them that are important to learn because they can piece our knowledge and understandings of our locations together and put them in real context. So place, it would be important in the sense that exploring those locations that are familiar help to deepen students' community connections. You have a greater appreciation for the community in which you live. And so it's not simply things that you see in the car going back and forth between your home and school or your home and the grocery store. That there have been important things that have occurred in these areas, and knowing them would give you a greater appreciation for where you live, as well by extension for the neighbors that you have who are part of your community. So we can say that a community would be an unlimited classroom. So think of it as an unending resource that is there that can lead to memorable learning because of the connections that it can build. So leveraging local history. So we can uncover community narratives. Oh, actually, let me go back. The importance of place. So it actually reminded me of describing the importance. So this would be this well designed building. This is Freedom Tower in downtown Miami. So it's near the Kaseya Center, and it holds significant weight, significant power within the South Florida community, especially for the Cuban American community, because starting in 1959, it was the location in which those who were fleeing the Castro regime would become processed so they could eventually become citizens of the United States. And with that, we see that the building holds symbolic value in terms of being seen as a place for renewal. It's seen as a place for freedom. So that's why we would see that it's an iconic building, not just because of its location and because of its look, but because of the events that have taken place there over the past 70, 60 plus years. So with that, leveraging local history, we would see that every community's history is shaped by the multiple groups that have lived there over time. And the picture I have on the right would be of Virginia Key Beach, which is part of the legacy of the African American community within South Florida. Because if you go into history, up until the mid 1960s, South Florida was a segregated community on the basis of race, and not every beach was accessible to the African American community. In fact, the African American community was not allowed to go to any of the beaches except for Virginia Key Beach. So the beach is still there, but having awareness of the fact that going back decades, the social arrangements of where people live now were so different would put things into real context for students, but also for adults. So we can see that uncovering these narratives, it helps to nurture and to build up identity and a sense of belonging to one's community. So some strategies for doing this and for uncovering these community narratives can include walking tours. So I'm a big fan of those, as well as getting some oral histories, particularly from those who have lived in communities for extended periods. So this is where seniors would be especially valuable in terms of imparting their knowledge and wisdom of their communities. Connecting to the curriculum, we'd see that local history can be a very rich resource. It can act as a significant supplement to the standard educational system that we would have. And it can also just be a good source of education on its own. And one way to do this could be to connect students to their larger community contexts. We can describe larger immigration streams as one element to this. On the right, I have a Filipino community center in North Miami, Florida. There are countless other examples in your own communities that would be useful as well. But it's just trying to provide real, tangible examples to theories that we would cover, which would be especially useful. So it's not just ideas, it's not just things that are in a book. Also, historical site field trips are another good idea in my view. So on the right, I have historic Overtown, which is a neighborhood with a very long history going back to the origins of the city of Miami, founded in 1896. And Overtown was one of the core neighborhoods as well at the time, majority African-American community. So look towards these local historical sites and landmarks, can look towards different heritage museums and exhibits. And again, these walking tours. So if you make it as engaging as possible, that is a very good route to go on. So with that, Diana, if you could describe celebrating diverse spaces.
Recognizing community assets, our communities are rich with diverse cultural assets. These spaces hold knowledge, traditions, and stories to explore. Accessing them brings learning to life and builds connections. Some examples are religious and cultural centers, places of worship, cultural centers, language schools, opportunities to experience traditions, histories, and practices. One example would be going to a mosque to learn about the Islam and the architecture. Another way would also be rotating PTA meetings. Benefits of rotating PTA locations: it reduces attendance barriers for families, signals that all families are valued and welcomed, helps strengthen PTA relationships with outside organizations, increase PTA participation and diversity. Potential rotating venues could be community centers, libraries, recreation centers, and museums. Hosting considerations would be accessibility, transportation, parking, etc. Accommodation needs for language disabilities. Also scheduling sensitivities for venues.
So the path forward with some ideas for how to make these happen. So some suggestions for action. So mapping out local historical sites, cultural places to explore would be a good idea. And you can reach out to community groups. You can reach out to many nonprofits to create this list. As well, planning a community field trip each quarter or semester would be a fun activity. And it doesn't even have to be planned really far out. It'll be good to do that, but if you can make it spontaneous, if that would be your style, then that could be one path. As well, in terms of the rotating PTA meetings, so we mentioned different places that you can do that, and many community centers would very much welcome that because it would have a different set of people using those resources and connecting with them. As well, you can look towards nonprofits, you can look towards unions as resources for some of these meetings. And libraries would be a really fun one, especially at the county council level. And starting a community resource directory for families would be a very helpful thing to add as well, in the sense that many would look towards these activities and towards these places. If you have them ready-made, that would be extremely valuable for people to learn about their communities. So let's say they just moved there, they just really want to learn about them, and connect themselves as well as their children towards them. So if you have just a list, you don't have to be an expert to craft the list. Just by connecting with the groups in your community through Google searches, through having conversations with people in outside organizations, you can create the list. So have confidence in yourself to be able to create them. And some resources to get awareness of how to combine these issues and to emphasize the importance of place would be The Power of Place by Dolores Hayden. An academic article will be School Community Collaboration. So this describes the creation of knowledge between schools and community. It also describes engagement between schools and community as separate but still related and beneficial activities. And some articles directed specifically for parents and those within school communities would be 5 Steps to Better School Community Collaboration, as well as Just Ask Strategies for Building Community Partnerships. So I'll copy these and post them in the chat area so you can directly go towards the links. So with that, we can entertain any questions.
Or comments. We had a lot of discussion at the noon hour, and I've been thinking about it ever since, Nicholas. I was thinking about, I was in Tallahassee and I wasn't on a walking tour, but all of a sudden I'm walking and there are these footprints of famous civil rights activists in Tallahassee, right as you turn and you go beside the Capitol and you go back to Park. And so I was curious about it this afternoon and I went online and did Tallahassee walking tour. And sure enough, there's such a thing. And so it got me to thinking that there must be something like that in every city for different purposes. And so what a great programming idea for the county or local unit in their little historical area. I talked about Sanford this afternoon, and in Sanford, Florida, Goldsboro is the historical section of it. And that's what Goldsboro Elementary is named for. So there's so many great things, and that we have resources at our fingertip. And again, free programming for our kids. Carolyn was up next.
Thank you, Karen, and Nicholas and Diana for your presentation. One of the things that I shared earlier was the importance of something that Diana brought up, which was changing the location of meetings. And not only changing the location of your local unit, county council, state meetings, but the times as well, making sure that you are not disenfranchising members by hosting your meetings only at 10 o'clock in the morning, when you know that the only people who can attend are parents who may not work outside of the home, or hosting your meetings only in a particular neighborhood or part of your county because it may be convenient for your school or your county council, but then you disenfranchise the other members of the council or of your community or of your county. Just being mindful that PTA is not just for one particular group of people. It's supposed to be representative of all children. And if you're representing all children, that means that you are inclusive of all parents. So thank you for this presentation, for highlighting what we are supposed to actually be doing in the home, school, community, and places of worship. So don't leave that out when you're looking for locations with which to bond with the community or to bring in additional parents, because our churches, our synagogues, our mosque are all a part of our community, and they all have children within their communities who we should be making sure are also receiving everything they need in order to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Diana had a response.
Yes, to feed off of that, it's actually surprising how many different businesses in the community are willing to open up. I do a walk on Thursdays at a Dade County Federal Union. They host a walk every Thursdays, and I kind of mentioned, you know, one of the days that they had a walk, I was like, no, I can't because I have a PTA meeting. And she was like, we have a beautiful room here. Whenever you guys want to host it, come and we'll give you the room. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So it's just a lot of people are willing to open that up. And as I had mentioned before, there's many museums that offer discounts. There's free museums and there's different places. So I went ahead after the meeting at 12 and I did some research, and there's actually a website called whichmuseum.com, and it gives 102 free museums and activities in Florida. It goes all the way up to Jacksonville, St. Augustine, and these are free resources. And I think that, as I had mentioned in the noon meeting, I think that helps open up to the parents that are able to go, because some of us are not able to pay museum prices. So if you tell me, hey, you know, this day is going to be free, let's all meet up, I'll be the first one to go there because it's free. Why not? It's summer. Let's do it. Keep my kids entertained. So I think that there's a lot of resources, like Karen said, that are out there that we're not even realizing are open to us. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Definitely important. I put the link in the chat area. So whichmuseum.com. So it's a great resource. Yes, Kamal.
When you mentioned the walking tours, and I was on noon, I started thinking about that. And one of the things I thought about, as we're getting ready to come back, some of the best walking tours could be those rising seniors that are coming into high school who are looking for great community service opportunity times. They could maybe come back to our feeder schools, our middle and elementary schools, and give a guided tour that someone could record. So as I move into a new area, we always have people moving into the area and they want to know something about a school. If they could see that, hi, my name is Gamal Mack, I'm a senior at University High School, but I went to Lawton Childs Elementary School, and let me give you a tour of the school that I grew up and I loved to represent. Something like a student doing something like that shows how we are not just giving a tour of the school, but we're also encompassing our students and giving them a purpose for kind of what's in it for me. Well, you have an opportunity to give back, which is what many of us as adults are doing. So that walking tour could be one right there in our own schools, and maybe you know, in our different school districts, we can actually ask that maybe our students give a tour of your school. Talk us about your school. What school did you go to? This is University High School. We do this, and somehow we can't get the kids to stop talking sometimes because it's, you know, it's so great. But when you want to go and you want to think about, where am I going to put my kid in school? Because we have choices. You know, it's a magnet school, if it's a performance school, something like that. And you and I speaking, you know, parent to parent, adult to adult, that can be very biased, but sometimes you can see the honesty in a kid goes, I'm proud of my school because we have this program, we have that program. Just one more way to engage them, and also open up the eyes of people to seeing, you know, they think of schools in a certain neighborhood, they expect to see certain people. They'll expect to see certain other people and they go, wow, okay, I didn't know. I thought, you know, my child would be the only one in this school with blonde hair. When realized, wow, there's a lot of people blonde hair. Maybe it's not natural blonde hair. I like that because my son's blonde hair this week, and next week it'll be green. Next week it'll be orange. This is a school that embraces that. I think my child would be comfortable there, and I would be comfortable there too. So maybe something engaging the students to create that walking tour, the internal walking tour of our own schools.
And that could go a long way in terms of creating heritage and a narrative around the schools, as opposed to just facts or people just being split into their high school or middle school cliques. Earlier, you also mentioned what I think would be really beneficial in terms of an idea, in terms of connecting with local sports teams, where the sports teams would want to have active community relations and would have resources that they would want to use. So certainly that would be one avenue that would be beneficial for many PTAs. Thumbs up. All right, so do you have any additional questions or comments?
I do.
Okay.
We've had several people talk about the historical areas in their particular communities, which I think was a part of the basis why you touched on the areas in South Florida. But what about the people that are part of their PTAs or people that are part of their communities? Aren't those resources that should be tapped into? And even if it's just a chat, a type of fireside chat for PTA programming. We all have within our communities people who have been a part of PTA or other parent groups at some point, who have brought together parents who have seen issues in education, who have fought the good fight on behalf of children. What would you think about using that as a resource?
Yes, so when we think of the sort of, if we step back and think of the idea of human resources, it's not simply the professional skills that people have. It's also the experiences that they've had in their connections. And again, not just professional connections, but the friends and family that they have. So I think it would be really useful to use these connections and experiences of parents in different communities. So I think that would be good. Is that not quite what you were thinking?
Yes and no, not just parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, community members, historians who may be willing to come and speak and talk to you about the educational arena as it was, and how things are different, how things are the same. Because if, what is that quote? If you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. So having people, not just family, any community members who can lend their expertise and what you just said, their lived experiences to our families and children, I think will take us a long way.
Okay, yes. And it'll be important to not limit it to active PTA members. So yes, that would be good to certainly use active PTA members who you have direct access to and you are familiar with, but to actively reach out to people within your communities and outside as well to get their perspectives and to get their experiences. So this wouldn't be limited to seniors, but I think seniors wouldn't get enough attention in terms of their experiences within history and being able to piece different things together. But just don't feel awkward reaching out to people. They're often much more willing to provide their experiences and their perspectives than you would think. And it also includes people of stature, so celebrities and the like. So I would encourage you to just reach out and try, and many local elected officials as well. Yes, Kamal.
I would be a little remiss if I left this group out. There's a lot of times we have our fraternities and sororities. This is called the Greeks. We all live close to or near some sort of college or university in the state. We're all within at least 50 miles of a college or university, or a couple of them. And it's a lot of times those fraternal orders have a need to go and do something in the community, and they're looking for something to do that's of quality. And usually giving back in education is a great way to do that. So sometimes you could ask them to come and come to your school and talk about where they went to school, to help people kind of build that pride in where they came from, because you may have someone who came from a very impoverished neighborhood, who, while they're going to school, they're going to a place which is the exact opposite, and vice versa. And sometimes talking to the population and letting the people know, hey, education is important. Yes, I'm going to insert name a university, school, or whatever. I may be majoring in marketing, but this is why it's important for me to give back to something high school and be a part of the community. And we encourage you to do the same. Well, yes, we do not have children here, but we're part of the community. Showing the community involvement, the community engagement by our fraternal orders, maybe by our fraternal order police, maybe it's the Elks, the Masons, the Kiwanis, the other groups in the community. Sometimes they don't know that they can come to campus. And a lot of times their members were like, wow, we never thought to even ask them to become members on campus. I didn't know that's something we did. I know a lot of times this is something forgotten with our religious groups. They feel like there's a separation between church and state. Okay, that's fine. There's a separation, but separation does not mean you can't be a Catholic who decides you want to join. You can't be a Muslim who decides to join. You can't be an atheist who decides to join, because we all bring some sort of value. And I think the more that our membership can see that we are not a PTA of just one makeup. We are the entire Crayola box. We're all 37 aisles of Publix. We're everything when it comes to that. And I think the more we show that off and the more we engage that the more we'll open up, and those 30 some lanes will go to 40 lanes, 50 lanes, unlimited Publixes, Publix and Aldi's and Walgreens, and they all come together, all because it's for the better education for our children, and we make a better society.
Yeah, definitely. And rotating PTA meetings is helpful in that regard, because you would have different locations within the community that would provide access to communities and to locations that otherwise people wouldn't have. So the degree of feeling included would vary, and many people, especially from marginalized communities, would feel more included by having meetings within neighborhoods and areas that are closer. So that has to be one element that is under consideration in terms of where the meetings would take place, is to ensure that everyone is included in terms of the advocacy for children and for different groups. So that would include active efforts to have people come in, and not just this, let's say, extra effort for people who are in marginalized communities, but the same effort, say, spread out. So you'd want to make it as easy as possible for everyone to come in and to advocate. So additional questions or comments?
Right, very good. Thank you,
right, thank you.
everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Diana. Thank you all for being here tonight. We will close with a message from our president. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, Diana, and Nicholas. Good information. Thank you for taking every opportunity to remind us of how we should be functioning as PTA if we are truly living out our mission of advocating on behalf of every child, which means every family, because children don't just pop up at school all by themselves. We are doing exactly what you said. We are reaching out, we are reaching across aisles, we are exposing children and parents, and we are being, most importantly, inclusive of everyone. and functioning under the 4 places that PTA functions according to every set of PTA bylaws: home, school, community, and places of worship. Thank you all for being here tonight. If you've not yet registered for our leadership convention, please do so. You have until July 1st to do that. As of today, we had, don't remember the exact number, but about 750 people already registered. You want to be amongst those numbers, and we want to get as many people there to help us handle both the business of PTA during our general meetings, the recognition of people who have gone above and beyond during both our awards and recognition ceremony, our DEIJ luncheon, as well as the awards which are given out during our general meetings. We want to learn because leaders continuously learn. They recognize that they not only don't they know everything, but they never will. And the way to factor into that is to continuously train. And we want to have a little bit of fun and raise some money for our scholarships by coming together in our Penny Wars, our PTA's Got Talent, and most of all, baskets. Bring those baskets. I want to go out with a bang and win some really great baskets this summer, but I can't do that if you don't bring them. I'm hoping that RNC has another basket war going on and that we continuously run out of room in celebration and have to bring in more tables because we have so many baskets like we did last year. So please register, encourage your committee members, your PTA members, your community members to be a part of this because our training and learning opportunities are how we prepare other people to lead within our association. So I look forward to seeing all of you very, very soon in just a little over a month at the Omni. We were just there this last couple of days, making sure that everything is ready for you. We do have a couple of new things coming forward, some surprises for you, as well as some things that will be familiar and make you comfortable to be coming home to the Omni. So register, and I look forward to seeing all of you very, very soon. Those of you who are inundated with rain and storms, please stay dry and be careful. If you can stay home, not everybody has that luxury, please do so. But if you have to venture out, please be very, very careful. Until we meet again, take good care, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks again, Committee and Education Commission. Good night, everyone.
I apologize. I'm having a hard time finding stop the recording.